Okay, so at the start of the game, you have something in the center and which is surrounded by units, which is a typical, almost the same game, right? But I think that's where the similarity ends, because this, unlike the command center, which this thing doesn't build stuff, and also it's not as flimsy as that thing, that command center. So don't use all of your units just to attack the other guy's civic center, because that's just plain suicide. Okay, and you're not supposed to build around walls around it either, because that doesn't make sense. Because remember, it trains units, it's used to pump things out, and building walls around it is counterintuitive. So you have to adjust your strategy based upon it. So the first things to do, well, in that other game, you tend to build stuff, right? Build stuff already and get your resources going, surrounded by military. It's very military focused. But at the start of this game, you are economy focused. That means you will be spending majority of your first times gathering resources. So how would you do that? Okay, you are training training units for resources, and you will be scouting for the sake of resources, building stuff, resources. So forget about fighting in the beginning of the game, right? Do that. So how are we going to do that? Where are our miners? We don't have one. You don't have one. Because your question first is, where are the resources? Where are my resources? Well, there is something here that's similar to ores, golden ores, mineral ores. Yeah, there's another one here. And that's where also the similarity ends. Because on that game, you basically only have one resource. Or one resource type, one kind of resource to gather. Two, if you really want to stretch me out a bit, because you are going for gold, converting it to cash, and then power, sources of power. But in this game, you have almost everything is a resource. What do I mean by that? Berry patches, resource. Metal mine, resource. This stone, big rock, resource. The trees, resource. Even those chickens, resource. And if there are other animals outside this area, those are also resources. Everything, almost everything is a resource, except maybe these falling trees, just a design, but whatever. Of course, what are we going to gather now? Well, the most important thing to gather first is food. Okay, so these berry patches, these chickens, and also wood. And population, which is actually equivalent, maybe the closest equivalent to the power supply to build your power plant. We have another building for that to up this one, but let's talk about that later on. Okay, so let's where are our harvesters? Yeah, our harvesters of food are women. You're assigning women to gather food. Okay, we do not need ore refineries for this, because they store the food in the civic center. Yeah, so we don't need something. Oh well, we need something like that later on, but the beginning resources will be focused much on training units and building stuff, and yeah, we will talk about that later. Okay, and the men, yeah, they look like soldiers, but these guys are actually gatherers. They are better off chopping wood. Okay, you can actually chop wood using women, but men are faster. And also, you can also gather food using men, but women gather faster. Okay, so take note of that difference. This is the scout. You can use him to scout the map, because you know the tanks work like that. But he's also going to work the economy. Okay, he's the one killing chickens. He hunts and kills chickens fastest, or gathers chicken fastest. Now we will use him for scout later on, in not hunting anymore. But for now, let's just use him for economy. Let's just train more units. If you want women, yeah, I think 10 gatherers is enough. We have currently 4, so we need 6 more. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, you can see that there's where's the instructions? Now where's the shift? Okay, so the shift, batch training doesn't actually work, but whatever. Okay, so we'll use them to gather resources. They're enough, they're generally enough. And the other ones, okay, for the sake of this video, let's just use men to gather some, or so chop some wood. But for now, yeah, let's keep the food production going, man. Where are these women going next? There's actually a lion patch here, but they don't actually produce the meat that's required. I think they don't. Yep, they don't. They can't be used for food. They can only be killed. But let's just be careful around there because this is not going to be. Okay, so another difference. Yeah, will be population cap later on, right? So we have already 10 food gatherers. Let's go for wood, chopping wood. Because you can see that we are going to be running out of that population limit. So since we will be maxing out the population, what are we going to do? Just like we will be using up all our power, we need to build. So who are our builders? The same gatherers, except for the horsey guy. He doesn't build. So men build, women build. Men can build stuff more than women because women are more economy centered. But anyway, we can still build using men, whatever. Who you pick, assign one, and this is our power plant, shall we say. So we will be plunking it down, make him build a house, and actually, I think he needs some help. Let's use other people to build. Yeah, build. Come on, don't just stand there. Gather the wood fat later so that we can have more population. Because if, oh yeah, we can actually use this guy to scout now, or let's just send him to the enemy base, offer him up just because we want to. Okay, so that's there then. Back to chopping wood, and we have additional population and gather more men. Sure, you can actually gather train more women, but for now, if you want to be particularly safe with your base, we need villagers that can actually defend themselves. Yeah, I think I did say that earlier. They look like soldiers because they are called citizen soldiers, but for now, they're actually gatherers who can defend themselves. And since we are no longer those berry patches, let's build fields. Okay, assign the women to build a field. Also, this is another difference in that other game, right? In that other game, your buildings build in the background and then you plunk it down. Yeah, that guy's gonna die because we sent him to die. That's all we have to do. And yeah, so in that other game, stuff build in the background and then you plunk it down. In this game, you plunk it down and wait for the builders to finish building this stuff, and there we go. Right, another one. See this? Unlike that game also, what you have seen in your territory, you need to see it again to get updated information. This is not a what you see is. You will not be seeing what your enemy is doing unless you have units that's actually visiting this place from time to time. It doesn't work in this game. The Fog of War is much more sophisticated than that game. Also, there's also a reason why they have learned from that mechanic. The third installation or iteration of that game, I think they learned from it because that's how it works. Okay, next, I think we will be focusing ourselves to the military now. Okay, so no, let's go for our refinery equivalent because these guys are just going too far, shuttling back and forth too far. If anything that is closest to the ore refinery, it's this building. Okay, so we plunk this thing down, wait for them to build, and take note, building this guy doesn't actually produce you an extra bonus harvester, just like that other game, right? In this one, you just build him and it practically sucks up whatever resource you are going to give it. And not all resources can actually be trapped there. What do I mean by that? This thing, food, cannot be stored here. There's another bank for that. It's this one. Okay? Two types of ore refinery for okay, separating food from the other types of resources, kind of fine, right? You need to keep those resources away from those dirty things. So that's it. 2 types of ore refineries for 2 types of resources. And also, these guys have some speeding up upgrades. Okay, these are the things that build in the background. Okay, because they're technologies, they're upgrades, they're things that you click on that build in the background that you don't have to plunk down to. Just like that other one. Also in this place, see that? We need another refinery or a place to stash these resources because the walking distance is just too far. Next, the military barracks. It's not as fast as building the barracks in that other game because this one is actually bigger. Okay, barracks are meant to be very... Come on. Join him. Join him. Join him. Join him. He's building too slow, and also this guy is going to build too slow anyway. We need some helpers. Give it. There. So how are we going to get more resources? Because you will notice that some buildings are inaccessible, right? That's because we need, it says right there, it requires town phase. This is our equivalent to the battle lab or something. No, not really. Maybe something similar is this one. We need another village phase building, and this is going to be the last one because we already have 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is going to be the 5th. We need 5 buildings and then enough food and wood to get to town phase. So that we can actually build these stuff, the upgrading stuff, the better defensive stuff. If you want something to defend, okay, this one. Military-oriented buildings, the town phase has more. But the ones that have real attacking prowess is actually in the next phase, where you will have your hard-hitting units with using the fortress or other special buildings, just like this one. Okay, so these things are your closest equivalent to the battle lab. This one, a defensive battle lab. That is the battle lab in that other game. Okay, I keep mentioning other game. You already know it, but by the name of the structures, everything. So that's how you can actually transition from that game to this game. Note the differences. Many resources, or at least 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, compared to 2, where your only resources there is only cash and power supply. And that game, military centered from beginning to end. This one, economy to military, and then pump out units from buildings and tech this thing up so we can have access to even more buildings that gain access to even more units. That's how you play this game. That's how you play this game. You will be only attacking when you have tech up to this phase, when you got your units using this building or other special buildings just like these ones. But whatever. Happy playing, whoever you are.